Now this little video is a lot funnier in real life than it is when I'm doing it. What had happened with this tire, I thought because I had put so many times, I had put this tricky way of, just putting it on with Gorilla Tape. I thought, well, that's going to be redundant. I ought to just skip that. Well, that was a mistake because it turned out to be a tremendous adventure getting it on. First off, I tried to use a quartz heater and I couldn't get the tire hot enough, and that was a problem. So I thought, well, okay, I can't get the tire above about 110 degrees. Let's see what the other choices are. And what I did, and I'll show this real close. I'm sorry I didn't leave the camera running. I just was afraid it would run out of footage by the time I figured out what was wrong. This part of, when you do a small tire, this is a 16-inch front rim. A 16 is a bear to mount. The smaller this gets, the harder it is. The bigger the tire, the more you have. And you've got to keep the part at the bottom when you're working this up, this pinched together. Well, I had Gorilla Taped it and whatever. But I never realized as I was working this up, this was sliding down because I never got to the top. I never got to where it was on a downhill side. So what happened is I finally figured out, I took a rag, put it over the tire valve, and zip tied this. And I started pushing this up. It really still didn't work. I was knocking myself silly here. Let me just see if this is Glenn calling. No, I guess it isn't. I'm waiting for him to call anyway. I didn't know if he was able to come here today. He has things going on in his life just like I do. But anyway, to make a long story short, it was not as successful as I thought it would be. So what I learned from this is when I get the 16-inch tires, I'm going to have to really get the tire hot. Or the other choice is I'm going to have to take this part of the tire and maybe double or triple putting the Gorilla Tape here and get a big zip tie here. Put a rag over here so I don't scratch your rim. Because remember, the whole idea of doing this is I don't scratch my delicate rims, which, believe it or not, after this ordeal of about an hour of getting this tire on, there is not a scratch or a chip or a nick anywhere. And so, you know, when you go to a dealer and they chip up your rims and they say, you're a real man now. Well, I guess I'm not a real man because I don't like chips in my rims. And I have cheap rims. I don't even have $1,000 rims. So, I mean, I have the ones that come from a junkyard. So, but anyway, it's all beside the point. The point is now, what I wanted to show is, there's a couple of things that people might or might not know. When you disassemble a wheel like this and you have it all apart, it's a good idea to recondition a disc. I showed Bob I can't even talk. I'm so out of breath from doing his tire. Bob, how to do his. He reconditioned his for the Sabre and was very successful. Now, what I did here, I kind of polished this up a little bit because it was really, these are 25-year-old parts. This bike's already registered historic. Now, there's an arrow on the tire, of course. There's an arrow on the rim, and these are not interchangeable. You can't switch them over. So I marry up the arrow that's on the disc and the arrow that's on the tire, and I see, wow, it's my lucky day. Now, another thing, just to mention things, I had taken the bolts. This is Loctite, by the way. Blue Loctite, not red. I had taken the bolts that hold this on, and while I had this apart, kind of cleaned up the end. I want to put, and this is a significant thing, some people don't know it. And if you already know it, obviously, you got a delete button on your video. So, is these bolts, when they go in, I like to hand tighten them first, then really tighten them as tight as I think is reasonable, and then I take a torque wrench at the very end before I mount this up on a motorcycle. And notice I'm putting a star pattern. You don't want to start this bolt, tighten it all the way down, and then tighten this one all the way down, and then tighten this one. You want to constantly be working against yourself. And I thought I'd show that. These are not high-tech. These are like 101 things if you went to, I don't know, I guess any mechanic school, or that would be simple. But still, there's a lot of people that don't know that. They have never disassembled a car engine or a motorcycle engine or whatever. And that might be good information you can use. And I have started a little habit. I have started at the end of every night trying to watch one or two of these how-to videos on YouTube, just to build up some of my knowledge and see different things that I see people do. A lot of them I don't really agree with, especially the ones on how to paint motorcycles. I'm not sure I agree with any of it. But it's all beside the point. You can always learn from everybody. And any chance you can have to watch a real mechanic like Luciano, I'll just use as a good example, work, you can always pick up little things. Now the worst thing in the world would be at this point in time would be to just take this and sock this down to whatever. I gotta go look at the torque setting out on the manual. I don't have the manual in here. But to make it just hand tight, the one opposite it, hand tight. And I have learned so much in the last year or so about, now I've gone like a star. I've learned a lot by sharing the information because other people, especially Luciano, have shared the information with me. And by us all sharing it, it seems like we all are riding safer, more enjoyable to ride bikes. And this mounting the tire thing, and I think we've done about 10 of them now. Glenn's were the first ones. And it seems like if you can get the tire hot enough, you can do it with one hand. But boy, is it a bear. If that tire is under about 100 degrees, 110, the heat box works great, except I wanted to try alternative ways because I know not everybody has a heat box. And not everybody is prone to jump in a car and drive over here and get it. They're gonna, I know that because I'm one of the people. It's too lazy to walk out to the garage sometime to get a tool, so I spend a half hour trying to figure out how to not use the tool. Now that these are all hand tight now, and it doesn't matter where you start, I can just sock these up little by little, but always in a star pattern. And by the way, I always would clean, I did it off camera, I cleaned this real, so that groove where that rests is nice and clean. You don't want to trap a, a spider or something under there. Now, this is the next thing, and I've got a little wrench because I want to do this. I don't want to torque it yet, I just want to bring it up little by little. And the reason I'm so conscious of this is because my GS Suzuki has a real bad habit of warping the rotors. It's a heavy bike. I'm not sure the technology of the 82 was as good as it is now, but it warped several sets of rotors. Pokey got me an aftermarket set that was better, but it still warped as time went by. Now I don't know why, and it's not going to be a track bike, so I really don't care, but it is annoying. Now the pride and joy of this whole job is when I'm all done, I'll be able to get this wheel mounted probably this afternoon after lunch. But the pride and joy of this whole thing is that all of the work that got done on this wheel got done right in this shop. It all got done for a lot of work, a little bit of money, probably $50 worth of paint at best, and I don't know how many hours. And I think it's going to just add a tremendous amount of enjoyment to the bike. That I'm going to take the back wheel off at some point in time and put the 1/4 inch stripe. It's got an 1/8 inch stripe now. I want to get rid of that. I want to put a 1/4 inch. But I'll just back mask this area here and do that with an airbrush. And then next time I have the wheel apart, I'll resand all the clear and put a coat of clear on it. Right now, another thing a lot of people don't know, some people don't know, it used to be years ago every tire came with a dot. The dot went where the valve was. That helped you get the minimum balancing on a tire. Not the case right now. Michelin tires don't have that. Or if they do, they're putting it somewhere I can't find it. And we do. I'm on a video, Karen. I'll be right up. You leaving?
No, I have some information for you.
Okay, I'll be right up. Just finishing this up. See, the problem is as we're doing this, life is going on all around me. You know, that people are invading Poland and the grandchildren are throwing things over the porch and whatever. But I wanted to share a little bit of that information. It's good information, and it's something I think all of us that ride bikes would like to be able to work on your own bike. Even if you have a ton of money, there's a satisfaction in being able to do it yourself, or at least have an idea of what's involved. When you bring your bike to a dealer, they don't tell you, oh, to replace that disc is $400 or something. You at least have a little idea on your own. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. We got a lot of work left to do here today.